Good evening and welcome to our new series called The Courtroom of the Mind. Bridging psychology and justice where inner healing meets legal insight. Our series title is called The Courtroom of the Mind, and we're doing a 4-part series. Episode 1 will be Fire the Inner Prosecutor, declaring a mistrial on self-condemnation. Episode 2 will be False Evidence, dismantling the case against the family scapegoat. Episode 3 will be The Unreliable Witness, cross-examining fear, shame, and anxiety. Episode 4 will be The Verdict, reclaiming authority over your own life. Now let's talk about Episode 1. Court is now in session. The defendant stands accused. The charges: incompetence, failure, emotional instability, not measuring up. Exhibit A, the messy kitchen. Exhibit B, the forgotten text. Exhibit C, the tone you used this morning. The prosecutor wastes no time. She always does this. This is why nothing works. She should know better by now. And before breakfast is even finished, the verdict is already assumed. Guilty. But here's what no one tells you. The trial was never fair. Act 1. Meet the prosecutor. If you are a recovering perfectionist, your inner world is not quiet. It is procedural, structured, ordered. There is a script, and at the center of it sits an overzealous prosecutor. This voice does not need evidence. It needs patterns. It gathers your old mistakes. It files them meticulously because it doesn't want you to get away with anything. It organizes them chronologically. It highlights them in fluorescent yellow, lest you forget what you've done thus far. It speaks in absolutes, always, never, every time, every single time. And here's what makes it powerful. It sounds intelligent. It sounds responsible. It sounds like accountability, but it is not accountability. It is indictment without due process. Act 2, the missing defense attorney. Now let's examine the courtroom more closely. You have a prosecutor, an inner critic, a judge, societal expectations, a jury, your past experiences. But notice what's missing. There's no defense attorney. No one is there to defend you against these allegations. No one objects. No one cross-examines. No one challenges the admissibility of the evidence. The prosecutor presents. You raised your voice. But no one asks, what happened before that? The prosecutor states you should be further by now. But no one inquires, compared to whom? The prosecutor insists, you're failing. But no one requests. Define failure. This is not justice. This is internalized self-condemnation masquerading as growth. Act 3, the evidence problem. Let's talk about evidence. In law, evidence must meet a standard. It must be relevant, meaning relevant to the charges. It must be admissible, right? It can't be based on hearsay. It can't be based on conjecture. It must meet the rules of evidence. It must not be unduly prejudicial. So why are we bringing back everything from the beginning? Why are we bringing back prior bad acts or prior actions from the person on trial? But in the perfectionist mind, everything is admissible. Because you know why? We never forget. We are always holding something against ourselves. Your worst day, admitted. Your weakest moment, admitted. Your childhood coping strategy? Admit it. The time you were 19 and didn't know better? Admit it. Nothing is stricken for the record. You need to be held accountable for every single wrong thing you've ever done, you've thought of doing, or you wanted to do but didn't do because you felt guilty about it. Nothing is contextualized. There is no context. You just did bad things and you're going to be held accountable for those. Nothing is rehabilitated. And the jury, composed of old wounds and unresolved narratives, nods in agreement because it recognizes the script. It's been rehearsing it for years. And you can't get away from yourself, so you're going to continue to hear it over and over and over again. Act 4, the judge. Now we turn to the bench. The judge represents the internalized voice of culture, family, religion, achievement standards, social comparison. This judge rarely smiles. In fact, he has a grimace on his face as he's looking at you like you're the worst person to ever stand trial. The judge does not ask, what is compassionate? It asks, what is acceptable? And if you grew up in a system where love was conditional, where performance equals safety, where harmony required self-suppression, then the judge has been presiding for a long time. The problem? The judge is far from neutral. It was shaped before you had language. Act 5, what's actually happening? This is the psychological pivot. Self-condemnation is not random, it is protective. It believes that if it criticizes you first, the world cannot surprise you. If it lowers expectations, you cannot disappoint. If it convicts you early, you remain in control. Perfectionism is not vanity, it is armor. But armor worn too long becomes confinement. And here is the quiet truth. You are not in a courtroom. You are in a trauma response. Act 6, cross-examination. Now we shift. The defense enters. Not loudly, not dramatically, not deliberately. Let's cross-examine. Prosecutor, she always messes this up. Defense, define always. Prosecutor, she should be further by now. Defense, by whose timeline? This proves she's not good enough. Defense, objection, conclusion not supported by evidence. Notice something. We are not erasing responsibility. We are recalibrating distortion. We are introducing reasonable doubt. And in psychological terms, that reasonable doubt is called self-compassion, not indulgence, not denial, accuracy. Act 7, motion for mistrial. Here's the radical move. What if the trial was never legitimate? What if the judge was biased? The jury was traumatized. The prosecutor was projecting. The defense was never appointed. That is grounds for a mistrial. And in healing work, a mistrial is powerful. It does not say you did nothing wrong. It says the process was not just. There is a difference. Act 8, firing the prosecutor. You cannot silence the prosecutor overnight, but you can demote it. You can reassign it. You can stop allowing it to preside unchecked. Instead of your failing, you ask, what standard am I applying? Instead of I should know better, you ask, who taught me that? Instead of I'm guilty, you ask, of what exactly? Precision weakens distortion. Language recognizes thought. Thought reorganizes nervous system response. And this is where RPM meets grace and gavel, because justice is not only external, it is internal. So in closing, if you have been living in a perpetual courtroom, convicting yourself before anyone else can, I want you to consider this. What if growth does not require condemnation? What if accountability does not require humiliation and being hurt and harmed and feeling bad about yourself? What if good enough is not a plea bargain, but a rightful acquittal? Court is adjourned for now. If this resonated, stay with me. In the next episode, I will examine how family systems create evidence files and how scapegoats are often sentenced for crimes they didn't commit. You are not behind. You are not broken. You may simply be standing in a courtroom that was never designed for your healing. And we're going to rebuild it. Thank you for tuning in and stay tuned for episode 2. Family trauma as false imprisonment, dismantling the evidence against the scapegoat. Thank you for tuning in, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Hope you have a great day, and you'll come back and check us out for episode 2. Thank you.